begin, it is useful to remember that this experience is not about trying to do anything, but about allowing something familiar to happen in its own way. Because you have already been in states like this many times. Perhaps while listening to music or looking out of a window or being so absorbed in a conversation that time seemed to soften. So now, as you are listening to the sound of my voice, you may notice that there is nothing special you need to do, and that can make it easier to let the body settle and allow the mind to wander. And you might begin simply by allowing your eyes to close or noticing the moment when they are already feeling more comfortable closed than open. As you sit there, you can hear my voice and at the same time become aware of other thoughts drifting through your mind. Some thoughts that are important and maybe some not so important at all. And just like in everyday life, you don't need to hold on to everything. You can remember whatever is useful, and you can let go of everything that isn't. Now, there is something interesting about empathy. People who feel deeply often learn very early to move towards others, to sense, to absorb, to understand. And while that ability is a strength, it can sometimes blur the edges between caring and carrying. And as you are listening, your unconscious mind already knows the difference between empathy and responsibility. It knows how to care without collapsing, and how to stay open without becoming unprotected. So, for now, there is nothing to change. Just an invitation to sink a little deeper into the chair you're sitting in and allow the breath to find its own rhythm. You may notice the breath changing on its own. Perhaps becoming slower or deeper, or simply easier. And as the body begins to soften, the mind can become comfortably curious. In a few moments, we will gently deepen this experience, not by effort, but by following something very, very natural. Something the mind already knows how to do. And now, imagine for a moment that you are standing near the edge of an ocean, not rushing in, not stepping back, just standing at exactly the right distance. You don't need to decide where that distance is, because your body already knows. You can hear the waves arrive and then recede, arrive and recede, arrive and recede. Each wave touching the shore only as much as it needs to. And there is something important about waves. They never apologize for stopping where they stop. as you continue to listen, you may notice that with every wave that comes in and every wave that goes out, you naturally drift a little deeper inside. You don't have to follow the waves consciously. Your attention can drift in its own way. Perhaps noticing the sound, perhaps the rhythm, perhaps the feeling of space between you and the water. And somewhere inside, a quiet realization may already be forming. That empathy does not mean absorption. That caring does not require contact at all times. Just like breathing in and breathing out, there is a natural rhythm to closeness and distance. And as you notice that rhythm, you might begin to feel a deeper sense of inner stability and a calm confidence in your own edges. Some people notice heaviness in the body at this point of time. Others notice lightness. Some notice both at different moments. And whatever you notice is exactly the right thing for you. Now, without trying, without effort, you can allow yourself to drift even deeper, as if the mind is gently stepping back, just enough to observe without absorbing. In this deeper state, we are ready to move into a story about someone who learned how to keep their heart open without leaving the door unlocked. And as you continue drifting, you may find it easy to listen to a story without needing to analyze it, allowing it to unfold in the background of your awareness. There was once a caretaker of a beautiful garden. This garden was known for its richness, flowers that bloomed easily, trees that offered shade, paths where others loved to rest. People often wandered in. Some came gently, appreciating the beauty. Others leaned on the plants, picked the flowers. Some stayed longer than the garden needed. The caretaker noticed something curious. The more open the garden became, the more exhausted the soil felt. So, one day, the caretaker added something new. Not a wall, not a barrier, just a small gate. And the gate wasn't locked. It simply required awareness to open. Those who entered mindfully felt welcome, and those who rushed in felt confused and often turned away on their own. And something remarkable happened. The garden didn't lose its beauty. It became healthier, more vibrant, more alive. The caretaker realized something profound. The gate didn't reduce compassion. It simply preserved it. And as you listen, some part of your unconscious may already be recognizing where your own gate belongs. You don't need to decide that right now. That decision can happen later, naturally, effortlessly, eventually. You may notice images or feelings or subtle shifts inside yourself, and whether those changes are clear or barely noticeable, they are already integrating. In a moment, we'll allow this understanding to settle even deeper, so it becomes instinctive, automatic, and calm. And now, without any effort, this understanding can begin to settle not just as an idea, but as an instinct. Because boundaries are not something you perform, they are something you feel. And somewhere inside, your unconscious mind is already rehearsing future moments, conversations, requests, emotional situations where empathy remains alive and the self remains intact. You may imagine a moment where someone approaches you emotionally and notice how naturally you can stay present while remaining centered. You don't need to harden. You don't need to withdraw. You simply remain you. And perhaps you notice how easy it feels to say yes or a no, or even not now, without any guilt. Because empathy with boundaries feels calm, clear, and sustainable. And every time you notice that calm clarity in daily life, it can gently remind your nervous system that it is safe to care without carrying, and safe to protect without closing. Now, there is no need to rush back. Your unconscious mind knows when the work is complete, and when it knows, you can begin to drift back in your own time. You might notice sounds in the room now, the feeling of the chair beneath you, the subtle return of movement in the body. And I don't know whether it will take 4 breaths or 6 or maybe more to feel fully present again. But when the time feels right, you can bring back whatever is useful and leave behind whatever has already done its work. And as your eyes open, whenever they choose to, you may notice a quiet confidence, a softer strength, and a deeper respect for your own emotional space.